good evening, and welcome to another episode of Unstoppable Overcomers. And I'm your host, Dorothy Odell, for this evening. Really like to kick this party started tonight with our new sponsor, Freedom Global Group, with their event that they're hosting on Wednesday. So if you're in the Oak Brook Terrace, Illinois area, definitely go to moneymagicleverage.com. It is going to be it's filled with some amazing speakers that you don't want to miss as well. I believe I know there's definitely breakfast. There could possibly be lunch. We'll get the full details with that with Kimberly later on. But definitely go to moneymagicleverage.com and sign up today. Like I said, it promises to be an amazing event, jam-packed full of amazing people and in person. So get all your questions answered at moneymagicleverage.com. All right. I have the distinct pleasure of bringing up Miss Kari to the show. Welcome very much, Kari. How are you this evening?
Hi. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm doing really well. I'm happy today.
You're happy, joyful.
Yes, joyful.
Joyful noise. Have you ever watched that movie?
I have. Yeah,
I
it's a
love
great.
that movie.
Yeah, it's a great feel good movie for sure.
Absolutely. So, Kari, tell our audience a little bit about who you are and a little bit about your overcoming story.
Well, I'm a master relationship coach and I help couples to have even more joy and excitement in their relationships. It is a passion of mine and I use every tool that I can think of to help couples to have the best relationships they can have. You don't have to be married, just in a serious relationship. So,
Right.
yeah.
Awesome.
And my overcoming story, well, so I was born a long time ago, and I had a mother who suffered from mental illness. She suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, and I had a strange childhood. It was normal for me to be expected to answer people that I could not see, to kill bugs on the walls that weren't there. And I really believed that there was something wrong with me because I could not see those things. So for me, knowing what a relationship is was a little weird. So when I went to school, I had difficulty with relationships with other children and I really withdrew. Um, there was an accident with my real mother, and I was taken away. My brother and I were taken away to go live with my grandmother, who was my saving grace, um, and she helped to heal me in a way that nobody else could have healed me. Um, so through the years, I didn't really understand about relationships, and I had a really messed up early childhood and a really messed up belief system, and so I married into a situation where it wasn't good for me. And after a long time of being married to that person, I decided to get help, walk away and get help. And so there was another step in overcoming that. So I went to therapy, I got help, I went to school, I decided that I had a passion for people, helping people with their relationships. And so I did internships and I started seeing couples, and I started off seeing them for free, just so that I could see if this was something that I really did have a gift for. And after 5 years of doing this for my life, it is my livelihood. I just absolutely have a great time helping couples to, a lot of times, who are at a standstill and they're kind of stuck. And the love is still there. They just don't know what to do to get out of it. And I love helping them climb out of it.
That's awesome. I'm sure I'm sure even before the pandemic that would have been something, but after, for sure, being together, stuck in the same house for 2 years or longer, I definitely could see the need for that in many
Right.
relationships, right? Um,
Hmm.
and backing up a little bit about your overcoming story, growing up in the household that you did, that must have been really difficult, especially as a child. You don't even know what's really going on, and you don't see what your mom's seeing, and just really, stepping continuing to step through those processes. That must have been difficult.
Well, interestingly enough, it was difficult, but it became more difficult when I went to school and realized that that really wasn't the real world.
Right.
That what I saw and heard was real, and that what she saw and heard wasn't. That's when it really became difficult because I knew that there was nothing wrong with me, that there was something wrong with her. But before, as a small child, your parent is the person that you depend on to tell you, everything about life, and
Yes.
that's just the way it was.
That's interesting that you said that. I totally get that. I grew up in a very loving home, but there was, my dad had expectations. And I didn't really realize till after he passed away, just, what those expectations, how they played out on
Mhm.
us as children, right? Or even adults. Like,
Right.
there was always, there was he was the oldest of five and came from a family where money was scarce. My grandfather worked
Mhm.
three jobs. My grandmother was taking care of five kids, right?
Mhm.
And so, uh in growing up in that environment, then he raised us kind of like in that scarcity mindset, and then
Sure.
us breaking through that. So I get what you're saying, where growing up you're thinking it's one thing, and then now when you're growing up a little bit, you're realizing, well, wait, that's not how life really is. So,
Right.
uh and give you kudos for understanding that, making that pivot from one to the other.
Well, I got really, really quiet and really observant. I watched people all the time. I watched how they interacted with each other. I learned, 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 learned. I didn't speak. I just knew. My grandmother said, "It's not the really loud ones you need to be worried about. You need to watch after the quiet ones because the quiet ones know everything." And
Love that.
and
I'm like
then,
you. I'm the
yeah.
observant. I'm the bug on the wall. Let me.
Yeah, I was. I was. I'm not so much today. Today I'm not as reserved as I was then. Then I was really, really super quiet. And I wasn't shy. I was just quiet.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. I the quiet ones are the ones you got to watch out for. I was quiet
Yeah,
once upon a time. Then look what happened.
yeah, I pretty much knew what was going on. I pretty much knew who was saying what to who and when and how their relationship was going and who was best friends and who wasn't friends, and I just watched and learned and was very curious about how human beings interacted with each other and how they treated each other. And I was very sensitive, still am very sensitive, and when I would see someone hurt someone else, I would well up and get upset over it. And that's I love people. I love to watch them, but I really love to watch them feel joy. That's my passion.
There is nothing better than watching somebody surpass, your the teacher, right? And
Mhm.
finding the joy in everything. I totally agree with you on that.
Oh yeah.
Um, right. And then so you went from, your that environment, and then ended up in kind of like a worse environment. Um,
Right,
you know,
right.
uh, and I think
And
that's,
and now I'm married to the man of my dreams.
well, there you go.
And he rocks my world. I love my Ray. He makes me smile. He does so many beautiful things for me and treats me like I'm his queen, and I treat him like he's my king. So,
Yes. So, what's the best relationship advice that you could give to somebody that's struggling in their marriage, or in a committed relationship?
Well, the one of the things that people forget to do is when you're first dating and getting to know each other, there's a playfulness that 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 happens between the two of you. There's a before children come, before you've been married for a long time, couples forget to play. And what I encourage couples to do is to begin to play again. When you were first together, did your partner smack you on the butt and you laugh? I mean, it's the silliest of things. Some people are offended by that, but did you play chase around the house naked before the kids came? Start playing again. If you're gonna chase around the house naked and you still have kids at home, put them to bed and make sure they're asleep. But
I'm laughing. Okay, so I'm laughing when you said the smack butt thing because
yes,
that's what's this in this household. But then it gets to a point where at one point you kind of get tired of it, and then when he doesn't do it, you're like, "What's wrong? How come you didn't smack me in the butt?"
right, right. You got to start laughing and having joy. If that isn't doing it for you, have a squirt gun fight. It's there's cheap fun to be had everywhere, and there's a I have hundreds and hundreds of ideas of things to do to have a lot of fun. Who'd have thought that you could sit there with your partner and go outside with sidewalk chalk and draw pictures together? Well, kids do that. Well, you'd
Mhm.
be surprised how much fun the two of you have being kids together, holding
Right.
hands. There's just so much. That is my biggest advice for couples who are stuck is begin to play again. Start with holding each other's hands.
Mhm.
Start with arm in arm walking. Things will happen, I promise.
That's good. And I think sometimes you kind of nailed it on the head. Like when you're first in your relationship, it's all like stars and roses and things like that, and how and him texting you all day every day, getting in trouble at work because the phone keeps going off, but what are you supposed to do, right? You're young love. And then
Yes.
you get into the relationship, and it kind of like, if you're not working on that, oh, then
Hmm.
he's got you or she's got him. And then you forget to be playful, and that is what.
Right. Sending each other love notes through text. I don't control what you say in there, but everybody's got a moment at lunch to send a text, a funny text, a I love you text. Everybody has a moment at lunch when you're apart from each other.
Yeah.
Start doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, well, and making the time to do that, I think, is
Hmm.
important. I know that we
Oh
can get
yeah.
so busy at work and, uh, and forget that. But making that time, it's funny because after 6 years, I still get if I see his name come up on the phone, I still get butterflies, and it doesn't.
Oh.
It's just like just because he's he's thinking of me, right? And that's
Hmm.
basically what I want, anyways. I don't know about anybody else, but to know that you're still, thought of, loved, and appreciated. And this is
You're
only year
still
six,
you're still his most important person.
right?
And I'm here to tell you, if you think your kids are the most important people in your lives, they grow up and go away, and the last thing you want as a couple is to wake up one day and say, who are you and what are you doing in my house?
Yep,
It don't go there.
yep, absolutely. Wow, that's a powerful statement. A lot of yeah, a lot of spouses don't see that, and they put work first, then their child,
Hmm.
and then you. So yeah, I get
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And then by the time all of that goes away, then you're left with each other, and a lot of people are talking divorce by then, and it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to choose to go down that path.
Yeah, exactly. Working on your relationship for sure, bringing that joy back. I love that. So what
Hmm.
made you decide to jump into being a coach and helping couples?
What made me decide is the love of people and love of relationships. It made me. feel like there was something I could do to help people to change the way that things are. So many times I would see on Facebook people who were putting their stuff out there and asking perfect strangers about their relationships and saying, hey, what should I do? And these perfect strangers were telling these people to get divorced, and they were telling
Wow.
them to leave their spouse. And, the two most important people, again, in your relationship are the two of you, and you can use tools to find your way through that.
Yeah.
Facebook is not a tool, not a place to go find. It's a
Yeah.
tool. It is a tool to find tools, but it is not you don't know these people. When they tell you to leave your spouse, they don't know you. You don't know them. Don't trust people with your relationship and the condition of your relationship if you don't know who they are.
Right. Absolutely. And it's funny that you said that, because a lot of people just, go to random people, on the one-off moment. Every relationship goes through a point where, or a
Mm.
bad day where you're like bad at each other, you want to strangle each other, and you're venting to the wrong person.
Right.
What I've learned is, make sure you have your tribe, and the ones that know you and won't
Absolutely.
let you give up on not only yourself but your spouse, right? And if
Absolutely.
if you're a verbal processor like I am, you only lean into those people that you know is safe.
Mhm.
Like you said, going to Facebook is not the place to go, to go
Right.
there,
Well,
and
I just want for couples to remember this. When you have difficulties, it's everybody does. If we don't have struggles with each other, we don't grow. If we don't grow, we end up stuck again. So we're going to have discourse. They want you to remember 3 sentences. Does it need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? Does it need to be said by me right now? If you will remember that, if you can remember that, even when you're really, really angry and you want to say a lot of things, if you can remember those 3 sentences, do I need to say it? So go talk to your best close friend. Go talk to your spiritual guide. Go talk to someone, a trusted sibling about it. But remember that when those words come out, you can't take them back. So this is
exactly.
right.
And saying you're sorry only goes so far. Like, sorry without doing anything behind it is
Mhm.
you may as well be talking to the wall, in my opinion. Right. And so I love that you said that. If you before you get it all out, be the human garbage can that your spouse does not need
Right.
to hear. Um,
Right.
you know, I love that you said that, because and I like that what you said. Does it need to be said? Does it need to be said right now? And I forget there was the third
Does
one
it
was
need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? Does
by
it need
me
to be said by me right now?
now, right?
Right.
Right.
My father gave me a lesson when I was 16 years old, and I came home from a school, and a friend had said something really awful to me, and I was so mad at her, and I was going to tell her what I thought of her, and I'm telling my dad this stuff, and he says, "Go write it down. I want you to write a letter to her, and I want you to say everything that you want to say, and I want you to come back and talk to me." So I wrote everything down, and he says, "Now fold it up and go stick it in your drawer." And he said, "And you can't look at it for 24 hours." And I went back and I looked in the drawer 24 hours later, and I came out and I said, "I'm never going to send that to her." And he said, "Yep, thought so. You need to practice that. Every time you think you need to say something awful to a friend, you need to practice that."
That's wise advice right there.
Hmm.
That is total wise advice. And yeah, I've heard that, or I've heard, like, write it down and then burn it.
Well,
If
yeah.
either or.
I was 16. I wasn't thinking of burning it. I don't think my dad wanted to encourage me to start a fire. So
That is true. This is a good lesson for adults, though, because I'm
Oh
telling
yeah,
you,
absolutely.
I,
Absolutely. Burn it, rip it to shreds, do whatever you got to do, whatever makes you feel happy. But he said if he did have an ad, he said if you come back and said you still wanted to send it, I would have made you stick it back in the drawer for 3 more days. You know. And I
right.
was like, "Oh, okay." I don't get to send it if it's 24 hours. And he's like, "No, the point is you don't ever
Right.
send it,
Yeah,
you
I
know."
don't think anybody wants to intentionally hurt anybody. And when
Mhm.
you're in anger, like anything can come out
Mm.
at the inopportune time. So, in the clients that you've had, what would you say would be the one thing that they struggle with the most?
Blame game. That is the number one struggle that couples, and you've heard it's money, sex, children. Well, still the blame game, blaming each other for anything and everything, and all the blame game is the need to be right. That's all it is. And if
Mhm.
you can lay down the need to be right, then the blame game stops. You know, going and saying, well, you didn't take out the trash, so that's why I didn't decide to empty the dishwasher, and all that. That's worthless. That's
Yeah.
just worthless stuff. That is the blame game is the one of the most difficult things for couples to lay down. Just to say, take responsibility for what you did or did not do,
Mhm.
and don't blame your partner for what you did or did not do.
Wise advice right there too. Awesome.
Yeah.
I, as you know, as somebody who's come from my grandparents were married for over 50 years before my grandfather died, and my parents made
Wow.
it to 47 before my dad died. So I come from a long
Amazing.
line of couples and not quitting on each other. But what I have
Right.
seen within that is the communication barrier, like the breakdown of that. They're together, but that doesn't mean they always communicate what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and everything like that. And would
Mhm.
you say that that's something else that you come along to within relationships?
Yeah, I do. I come across, we use the word intimacy, and a lot of people associate the word intimacy with sex, and that's not necessarily. The word intimacy really talks about really connecting with each other. And I have seen many long-term marriages where the intimacy is just absolutely gone.
Yeah.
And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying sex, like the hugging and the holding and spending just quality time together and doing things for each other and thinking of each other. Sometimes they just stay together because it's easier, and they
Yeah.
they forget about the intimacy part. Just, like lying in the bed and just snuggling and talking about, things that only couples talk about. All of those intimate moments are so important to keep alive, because
Yeah.
eventually you're just living together as brother and sister if you continue on that way.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And that's, I always said, like, my mom's parents, they slept in separate bedrooms. And I made it very clear that
Mm.
that would never happen in my marriage, because I didn't get married to be friends. I got married to be husband and wife, and that's in the same room, same bed, whatever.
It it is, and I have to admit, there have been times when I have fallen asleep on the couch accidentally, but
That's
hubby gives me a kiss, wakes me up, and I pad into the bed. He's a late
yeah.
night person, and I'm not, so
Mhm.
sometimes I just can't stay awake late enough. But
I
yeah.
hear you on that. Yeah, there's been sometimes my husband hasn't been well, or he throws his back out once in a while, and so he has to sleep on the spare bed, and I'm just like, I hate those nights because I can't fall asleep. But he
Well,
needs the
yeah.
extra room to maneuver and things like that. But that's
Well,
a,
if there are young couples watching, there is one thing I want to tell you about the bedroom, and that is it's your sanctuary. No fights, no arguments, no serious major decisions. That is not the place to have all of that take place. That place is your sanctuary. That's your love room. That is where you spend time loving each other. And if you got to stay up until you can go in that room and love on each other and at least kiss each other goodnight, then you stay up until you get it done. But don't take it into that room, because it takes the spirit away from your sanctuary.
Wow, did not think of that. You're right. I did not think of that. My parents always had a rule: never go to bed angry, and
Hmm.
I I can't say that that's always happened within my relationship. I mean, there have been times that we'll give each other a kiss goodnight and then roll over. but uh
Well,
but and I hate going to bed like that. I hate it
hmm
if there's some anger or animosity. I hate that, but he needs time to process. So I've realized that I have to be okay with what he wants and just not let it drive me crazy on my end.
well, yeah, yeah, but at least you can give each other a kiss goodnight,
Yeah.
and go kind of your separate ways in your bed so that you can sleep it off, or do that. That's fine. But it's better to do that than to have an argument in your sanctuary.
Yeah.
It's better not to work those things out in that place where love is supposed to be.
Absolutely. I've also heard that you shouldn't put other pictures of family members in your bedroom either.
Well,
Uh,
I I don't know about that. I have pictures of my family that I love dearly are in my bedroom, so
I,
I don't know about that. I, you know,
I,
I,
I was some kind of, I don't know if it was with the feng shui lady that we know, or I forget who it was,
uh,
but she said, yeah, she goes, what's in your bedroom? And so I explained, and okay, get
mhm.
that out, get that out, get that out. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
will help us. I don't care.
Yeah, I do have them. They're not next to my bed. They're not over my bed. They're in another part of the room where I've got two sitting chairs. They're over there, but they're not near my bed. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to have them in there or not. We don't seem to have a problem with them being in there.
I well again because I had a picture. I had family pictures up there too, like my dad and some uncles and that, and
Mhm.
they said no. So I ended up putting our wedding picture in there, and I put
Oh yeah.
our yeah, our wedding picture and our wedding album. I ended up putting in the bedroom
Oh
just
yeah.
so that there's that in there.
Oh, we've
I
got romantic love stuff all over the place. Like, we went to this event, and the two of us, and they had these uh bamboo roses. Someone had created these roses out of bamboo. I still have those in there because it was a romantic night for us. I
yeah.
keep that stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I still have the roses he gave me for our, I think it was our first date. I had every rose he gave me, I had
Oh.
dried out. And then when we moved, they're now just in a bag in the in the bedroom. But I gotta bring those out. They might even be mushed by now. Who knows? I mean, we've been
Oh.
moved a couple times, but yeah, just something, just uh, for him, I try not to throw anything away that he's given me. That's for sure.
Yeah, unless it's just like beyond, yeah. No, my husband makes sure that I have fresh flowers all the time. And so if I saved every flowers that he got me, I would not know where to put them, so I don't save them anymore. I used to have them strung up everywhere when we were first married, and now it's like, um okay.
I totally hear you. I'm just going to take one quick commercial break here.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you tired of hearing? feeling stuck in your career or business, or are you ready to unlock your full potential and accomplish your goals with compounding growth so that you could live a life like you're walking on the beach? If this is you, then listen up, because I have some exciting news for you today. Today's live cast is sponsored by the Left Foot Coach, an innovative entrepreneurial venture partner that will take your income and self-expression to the next level. With his established 5-pillar methodology, the Left Foot Coach can help you build a solid foundation for success and expand your full potential. As a venture growth coach, the Left Foot Coach is dedicated in partnering with you and your established business to help you grow your income and achieve your goals. Whether you're an entrepreneur or a professional looking to take your career to the next level, the Left Foot Coach can provide you with support, guidance, and resources you need to succeed. If you're ready to unlock your full potential and achieve your dreams, then schedule a 30-minute consultation with our friend Christian. Christian's definitely an amazing guy. He's actually been helping us here on the show and definitely seeing results with using Christian, not only in growing our base, but definitely definitely getting a lot of growth within the business. So go to calendly.com/XIAN left /30 minutes $month equals 2023-05. All right. Sorry about that, Kari. So
that's great. You gotta have yay.
Gotta thank our sponsors. They're the ones that help us run this show.
Yes, absolutely.
So yes, getting back to I love that you help with relationships. And so what would you say has been the most challenging experience that you've come against with a couple?
I had one experience, and let me preface this with telling you, I am a coach. I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
And I coach people by giving them tools to help them to have better relationships. Now I'll tell you, I had a couple who came in and they were headed for divorce, and I was really not thinking I could do anything about that. And I was ready to refer them to a therapist, and I was at my wits' end. They were screaming at each other in my office, just screaming. And I said, hey, this is, therapists help heal hurts. Coaches kind of kick you back into play. I'm a kick you back into play kind of gal. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to charge you for this session, but what I want you to do is one thing, and I want you to go home and I want you to hold hands for 30 minutes, just hold hands. And then I want you to come back, and if you're ready to use the tools that I give you and to try and make this work, then I can do that. If not, I'm going to refer you to a therapist, because I won't have two people screaming in my office for an hour. And they went home, and they didn't yell at each other. They didn't scream at each other. They didn't do anything. And they ended up holding hands and just crying. That's all they did. They held hands and they just cried. That couple had been married for 20 years. And there was a lot of not being good to each other for quite a few years. I'm happy to tell you 3 years later, they're still married and they are just absolutely in love with each other. So that was the most difficult one I'd ever seen.
That's awesome. That's
and
amazing.
Now I'm crying. Oh, got to get that tissue out.
We're on this. Well, this is the subject of the night, I guess. A lot of people give up, and I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, there has been times that I thought thought of why
Sure.
am I still here, right?
What am I doing here?
What am I doing?
Gosh.
And then I'm like, am I mentally prepared for this? Should I have thought of this out before I got married?
Right. This is for the rest of my life.
This is for the rest of my life. Right?
Wow.
And then I'm thinking, okay, well, if I can get through everything else leading up to meeting my husband, there's no way that I'm going to allow just some squabbles to get into our way, right? And what
Right.
you had said in the beginning of most couples want to be right, and it's like I'm going through an intense sucking of everything that God does not want in my life out of me this last year. I've like heavily involved in every type of coaching you could possibly think of, on top
Mhm.
of A Course of Miracles, on top of being,
Oh, I love that. I love
right.
A Course in Miracles. I just
and
love it.
and today's lesson, because I have to learn each lesson daily, and it was just like, yes, this is it, and we don't I in the moment, you're like, but he did this or she did that, but
Right.
it doesn't really matter in the end who was right or wrong. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's been my lesson for the last year and a half, has been, I don't need to be right. And just, I could either be right or I could be happy. And it takes something to get there, and that doesn't mean that I get it right away, and that doesn't mean that there aren't times that I just like, put me under a rock somewhere and leave me alone. But as long as you
Yeah.
don't give up on each other, and you're like, okay, now get back up and get back in the ring, get back up and get back in the ring, right?
Right. Get back up, get back in the ring. Yeah, no, it doesn't mean, I don't believe in society's picture of what a perfect relationship is. I'm here to tell you that a perfect relationship happens just like you said that. A perfect relationship is getting back on the bus. A perfect relationship is you keep working at it and you keep working at communicating. You work on yourself, your partner works on themselves, and you work together as a couple to become one,
Mhm.
because we're all one anyway. So you work together to make that happen for each other. There are perfect relationships where there's no arguing and there's no fighting and there's no conflict. There's no, if you're not doing that at all, then you're not growing, and
Absolutely.
you got to grow.
I love that you said that. It's funny because I looked at, when I was in college, there was this mature student in our class, and her name was Cindy. And we went to her house one time. I forget, I don't know if we had a school project, that a bunch of us, there was like art. My classroom was full of mature students back then, and I graduated in, oh God, I think it was 94.
Hmm.
Um, and so all these mature students were in there, and go to this woman's house, and it's like she had the perfect marriage. It's like she was freaking June Cleaver. She, was in school and had a job, and just her tone with her husband is, oh, like, yes, dear. And trust me, that's not how I grew up. My parents loved each other, but it was not like that. And I was just like, man, I want her marriage. Like, they don't argue, they don't do anything like this. And now I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, either she is a freaking unicorn, or that was a great front, because I have never seen a marriage since then where they're just like, oh, happy go lucky all the time.
Hmm.
Like, what's your secret if that was not fake?
Well, there's a neighbor across the street from me, and they've been married for 60 plus years. I can't remember exactly. I mean, forever. They're 88 years old. Okay. I wanted to know how they stayed married all that time, and they really did seem like happy, happy-go-lucky couple, and everything was fine. And she's like, no, Carrie, no, we had some really hard times in our marriage. We had some really tough things we had to work through, but we stuck it out, and we made sure that we remembered what got us together in the first place, which is that love. And as long as we remember that love, we stay together. She goes, but when you see us, yes, we're happy, but we're not happy all the time. So when you walk out the door and close the door, he can say something that can frustrate me, and I'll come right back at it. We're normal people. And I had a picture on the outside of what their insides looks like. So I asked the question because I was curious.
Hmm. And I love that. That brought something up. When we first dated, I had a BlackBerry, and no
Mhm.
word of a lie, he would text me day and night if we weren't together, like at work all the time. It
Mhm.
didn't matter. And I said, it was such great stuff. But I said to him, I'm going to keep this phone. And he goes, well, why is that? I said, because it's going to be a reminder when I'm really pissed off at you, exactly why I did love you and why I were together. And at first he was like, oh, you're crazy. But I still have the phone. And
Mhm.
I actually had taken screenshots of most of our conversations, and I've kept them, and I have had to go back at least once, and remind myself
Mhm.
of, some of the stuff that was said back in the early days, because,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know, we had just gotten married and then the pandemic hit. So
Wow.
it's close quarters, and both of us, well, he was laid off, I think, for only 2 weeks out of the entire 2 years, and I've
Mhm.
worked nonstop. So, but if working from home, and if we weren't at home, like if we weren't at work, we were at home. So, spending two solid
Mhm.
years after just being married,
Oh yeah.
it was just like, seriously, I'm just gonna go to the grocery store. I need a minute.
Well, we were married a bit longer than you when COVID hit, but I work from home and he works from home.
Oh.
Yeah, and then everything was shut down. And I was like, I need the car wash to open up.
Right.
I need to go through the drive-through at McDonald's, even though I don't eat McDonald's. It was the only thing open. I need to go to the pharmacy. The pharmacy's open. You know, you got to
Yeah.
have your time away from each other. Look, he's got to have a life. You got to have a life, and you have a life together. If you don't, you got to have some separation in there. Otherwise, what do you talk about? You know?
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because for the first 2 years that we were together, like not married but
Mhm.
together, I had moved an hour away from my family. And so, what do you
Mhm.
talk about? What do you talk about? Right. And
Mhm.
it was like the first 2 years were, again, finding yourself inside of that. But I like
Mhm.
what you said, you have your time, he has his time, and then you have couple time. And it's
Mhm.
important to have that time, um, together but separate. And I
It
know
it is.
a lot of time was spent together, and I'm like, man. I'm like, now I finally get it. And so the last 2 years we've
Yeah.
been, it's been, no, you have your time, I have my time, and
Right.
we'll meet.
Well, I got my very best close friend, and I spend time with her. And my husband has his best friend, and every Sunday afternoon they go out to lunch together and they smoke a cigar together. That's what they do every Sunday afternoon. There have been things that interfered with it, like yesterday was Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Um, Yesterday was Mother's Day. My whole family descended upon my house for Mother's Day, and his best friend was spending time with his mom on Mother's Day. So yes, that happens once in a while, but I don't interfere with it. And the reason is because he has to have his time, I have to have my time, and we have our time together.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Yes. His time is out on the golf course, and my time is doing this and being with my
Yay.
tribe of women.
Yeah, there you go.
I love that. Great advice. And, for any young couple that is out there listening, I hope that you're taking away from Carrie, and the richness that she's pouring out here, because, um, I have to say, one of the hardest things that I've done to date so far is being a stepmom, and being married. Like everything else, I can handle people in the hospital. I can handle death. I can handle all that way better than I can handle being a stepmom and being married some
Yeah,
days.
little creatures who have their own minds. They're little adults, I try to remind people, little creatures who have their own mind and do what they don't do what you tell them to sometimes.
Got one of them.
Being a parent, no, it's not for the faint of heart, for sure.
Nope. Nope. It isn't. Nope. And that's why we have Mother's Day to celebrate us.
Yes, yes, yes. We have Mother's Day so that we can make all of our sons feel guilty. Remember when you did? No, I'm just playing. I'm just joking around.
Me too. No. He was at his mom's yesterday, so we're good.
Yeah. Well, sometimes moms need breaks too.
That's right. That's right. I love that you
Right.
said that. I love that you said that. Now, well, now that we're bringing more fun into it, we're going to go into the fundamental section. We're going to bring up the amazing Kimberly here. Welcome back to the show, Miss Kimberly.
Hi,
Hello.
Kimberly.
Hi.
I love it.
Amazing show so far.
Right.
It's the topic is very near and dear to my heart. I've been on mission for the last 3 years now, I think, causing power couples united. So
Oh, cool.
not just married couples, like couples as a distinction, right? So wherever two or more come together, and creating
Yeah.
power and unity, and my heart, right, and my passion is marriages in particular. So it's so lovely to hear what you're doing and the work that you're doing.
Thank
And
you.
I personally thank you from the bottom of my heart. So really great show, Dorothy.
Thank you. And
Thank
so
you.
so in tune with what today has been all about, for sure.
Well, and we say this all the time, the Holy Spirit runs this show. We're simply stewards of the show. And so, of course, Dorothy.
Right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so here we are inside the fundamentals, and Kari, we couldn't be more excited to have you. And normally we have a guest sponsor in the show, and we do have a guest sponsor. I just happen to be wearing both hats tonight, because and it's so again. See, here we are. It's like so freaking brilliant and perfect, and the Holy Spirit knows what's best, because. And this is so great. We have a big event. My mutual companies, joint ventures are all coming together for an event this Wednesday, May 17th. And what I'm personally present to is it is a collaboration that has been 10 years in the making, 1 decade.
Wow.
I know, right? And so it's funny because I'm obviously, Dorothy, as you know, like you, I am you, you are me. We hold the spotlight for others. And Holy Spirit has been telling me that this is my coming out party. Because the last decade I've been a leader at an incredible company called Landmark. And inside my agreement and my commitment to bring the purest leadership skills possible, I did not, I made sure that everything I did was inside of that role and that job. And I just retired January of this year, and am now able to give fully, right, to every creation and honor every creation that's come out of the amazing work that I've been able to do the last decade with Landmark, and hence the coming out party that is scheduled for this Wednesday. And it is an event that is called, and people got a taste of it last week with my business partner, Steve Roke. And it is called Magic, Money, and Leverage. And the commitment and what is the beginning of, mark my words, a revelry call that's going to go global to empower people to come together to rejuvenate, refresh, and restore. and really be resurrected in knowing that there's nowhere to get to. They're whole, perfect, and complete as they are. And they're in need of nothing. And that is what the event will provide. And it will be the beginning of them stepping into communities like Power Couples United and our mission of causing radiant, radical financial freedom for all of humanity by 2035. And our first event is this Wednesday, May 17th. It's in Oak Brook Terrace. I know, right? It's in Oak Brook Terrace, Illinois. And what's so cool about the event is we've intentionally broken it down into multiple segments. It's like a little bit like a centipede. And in that there's a morning networking, there's a morning session, and then a break, and networking, and then another session, and a break, and then a lunch networking, and then a break, and you know what I mean? And it's just, and it just goes, and none of the pieces, they all complement each other, but they don't build on each other. So it like, I can come in the morning, great. I can come in the afternoon, great. I can come in the evening, great. Whatever part you come for will more than rejuvenate, refresh, and restore you, and give you a chance to be a part of the community that we're building, of 1 million plus strong. So come one, come all. And if you can't come because you're not able to get in the Oak Brook Terrace, Illinois area, anyone you know who lives near there, send them, because they'll be able to recreate it for you and bring you into what we're up to in the world. So thank you for allowing me to be tonight's sponsor. And that's what I got.
Absolutely. That is powerful. Yes. If anybody is in the Oak Brook Terrace, Illinois, go to magicmoneyleverage.com. Sign up for that event today for sure. It's going to be amazing. I wish I lived closer.
No worries. We'll make sure that we do one in Canada. We'll make sure of it. Absolutely.
Are you going to come to Texas too?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you want to be our host, we will go wherever we're called. So
all right.
That'll be great. That'll be great. So with that, I will, Kari, it is up to you. Would you like to share your fundamentals first, or would you like me to share mine first?
I would like you to share yours first.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, here we go. These are in no particular order. And these are the fundamentals that once I got this, and I'm going to preface my fundamentals by saying to people, find your 3. Like, we offer our 3 in this segment of the show just to give people some kind of, wow, I just got really emotional, sense of hope and ease, to access their light and their love. And you can access it through any one of our fundamentals, right? I mean, like if Kari speaks to yours tonight, or if mine speak, or a combination of ours, like that's the intention of the segment. So that when people leave our show, man, I am so emotional tonight, that they leave our show set up powerfully for the week, and that whatever overcoming story, if it has triggered something for them, that they're left on the upswing, right, at the end of the show. And what there is for me to put in tonight newly, as I share my own, is I invite people to find your 3. And don't be attached that they have to be the same forever and always. And as you're testing different ones or playing with different ones, when you get that like sense of resonation within your soul, right? Like, oh, this is who I am, right? So these 3 fundamentals I work very hard with, and I'm going to do a shout out to Donna Eller. I'm sensing the coming out party starting with tonight.
How appropriate
right?
is that?
I'm still coming out, right? Donna has been instrumental in having the brilliance of my light and my love be pure and my light be bright. And so we did some heavy lifting to get to my personal core fundamentals, and I'm happy to share them with you tonight. So I say that to invite others to do the same, because when you find who you really are, it's kind of powerful. So with that being said, they're not in any particular order. My first a fundamental for me, in my top 3, is to own it. Right? If I can't own it, right, I don't want to play. And to be really responsible when I say that, I'm not saying like, I'm a one-man band. Dorothy knows darn well that that is not the case. What I'm saying is whatever I'm doing, right, whoever I'm being, whatever I'm up to, if I'm not owning it, I got no business playing, and owning it fully. I've been told many times as an employee back in the day when I used to be an employee, man, we just love you because you walk around here like you own the place, right? Like I pick up garbage in the parking lot. Like I don't play in life like it's not my problem. I play in life like this is my world and I own it. How would I treat the world if I owned it, right? So I invite people to be in the discovery of owning things and getting to like you get to, you're not a victim of anything. A second one is, if it's not fun, I'm not doing it. Now, to be very responsible about what I'm saying in that is, and it's my job to make things fun. Right. And it's not like a get out of jail free card, like, oh, I'm fickle. This is no longer fun for me, so you can't count on me. Right. It's much more so. It's my job to create it and be able to see that anything can be fun. So like, for example, I love horses. And I have so many people be like, oh God, that's like, do you have to clean their stalls? And then I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I love cleaning their stalls. It's like making a bed for a kid, so it's all relative in that regard. So, and then last, but by no means least, these are not out of order. My last fundamental is don't be a difference, be the difference. And really, I invite, it's kind of like, water boils at 212, not 211. And that's the difference, right? Clearly, water at the degree of 211 is hot, right? It's hot. But it's not going to make the difference that 212 will make, where it can actually boil things. So those are my fundamentals. Kari, what are yours?
Oh, okay. So my 3 fundamentals are always create opportunities to play with all of your relationships, whether it's with your children, your parents, your loved ones. Always create opportunities for play. The other thing is always create opportunities for intimacy. That is not just your love partner, but that's also with all of your family and friends and those who are close to you. Intimacy is the most vulnerable state, and that vulnerability builds trust. So always create opportunities for that intimacy. And last but not least, I could have started with this one, but remember that the blame game solves nothing. Stop the blame game.
Yummy. Kari, I want to point to your second one. I am in a constant game. I wish I had it with me. I don't though. I just got it on Mother's Day when I was at the florist shop with my mom. But I am in a constant state of deepening, widening, and enriching the being in love game. Like it's a game. How in love can I be with literally everything, right? So my office, my relationships, and not just my human relationships, right? Like, so my relationship with, money or, whatever, right? So like, but really getting to be intimate and in love and in relationship with everything, my desk, right? My and just like, oh, I'm so grateful for you, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I just love that you put that in. That's so gorgeous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Dorothy, I believe that completes another wonderful fundamental segment. I hope we delivered.
Absolutely delivered. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you to our guests for showing up tonight. Thank you, Kari, for being our guest and being awesome and giving us those incredible nuggets on how to enhance your relationships, whether that be with your partner, whether that be with your spouse, whether that be with anybody. I believe that with the tips you've given have definitely brought in for any relationship that you're in, for sure. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And where is the best place for people to reach out to you, Kari?
Highestintentcoach.com.
Okay, perfect. That is in our show notes. So go to
So
highestintent.coach.com. Perfect. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. And I just want to give one final shout out to our last sponsor of today's show. Did you know that doTERRA essential oils can help support the body physically, mentally, and emotionally to help you achieve optimal health? Aromatherapy is a very powerful tool. And for more information, go to beoilywithbonnie.com today or give Bonnie a call or a text at 810-414-0929. Bonnie has definitely helped our family with all our doTERRA oil needs, and great lady. So 810-414-0929 or www.beoilywithbonnie.com. Thanks again so much, ladies, for joining us. And don't forget to be unstoppable in all that you do. Same time, same channel next week. And don't forget, we're on Roku. So if you happen to have the Roku, definitely check us up on Unstoppable Overcomers. And if you're just happening to see this for the first time and you're thinking, God, I wish it was on podcast, well, we got you there too. We are over on Spotify and iHeartRadio. So definitely, clean and listen at the same time, or do whatever jam you do while you're listening to your podcast. So with all that, stay tuned for more, and we'll see you same time, same channel next week. Bye for now.